I'm Katie.
And I'm Laura.
And we are
Small Town Music.
We are two small town music teachers looking to help other small town music teachers.
So whether it's managing your day-to-day or advocating for your program, we're here to help.
Like and subscribe and follow along on our journey. Hi everybody, and welcome back to another Small Town Music Summertime edition.
Summertime!
It's exciting. This is the point in the summer where I start, it's like the Sunday scaries of the summer.
Oh.
Because I'm doing marching band.
Right, you have marching band.
Yeah.
I am still very much, I confess that, so I went to a conference yesterday, which is kind of what we're going to talk about today, but until then, I hadn't really thought of school,
That's okay.
at all.
This is the first week that I
I'm not
have.
sad.
Yeah, this is the first week that I have actually, I've gone into school a couple times, and I've, done some work. Nothing too crazy. I'll talk a little bit about that. But, yeah, today, Laura and I are discussing conferences, all the different types of teacher conferences, which ones are kind of worth your time. Maybe, some years they're worth my time, some years they're not, and just kind of how we make that decision. And then also conferences that have nothing to do with teaching music, but why they might be worth your time as well.
Right, because I don't know, I get all kinds of emails all the time, join us at this conference, and I mean, you can't go to them all. So today we're just going to kind of talk about, what conferences there are, which ones you might want to consider generally, and then once you go, how to get the most out of it and decide, when to call it quits.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the band side of things, if you are a band instrumental teacher, band orchestra, hopefully you have heard of the Midwest Clinic, which happens in Chicago in middle December, end of the first semester, essentially for most people. So right before Christmas break. I think that was done by design, because Christmas concerts are over, marching band is over. People haven't really started winter guard percussion stuff, winter winds yet. So that's a nice time for teachers to be nope, I'm going to start my Christmas break early. And it has been around for decades. It is very well known in the band instrumental community. That one is great. It can also be tricky as a small town music teacher, because I've gone to that conference and had really great sessions. I've also gone to that conference and had a lot of sessions that I was well, this doesn't really help me, because this person, their quote unquote small band is still 45 people bigger than my band will ever be. And it's frustrating.
Yeah, and kind of on the choir side. So I think really, no matter where you are, you're going to have your state level organizations.
Yes.
I know with, I'm a member of the ACDA, American Choral Directors Association. So within that, there's national conference that alternates years with regional conferences. And then there's also summer state level conferences. And so those are, so that's a huge difference. And I've never been to a Midwest, and I mean to the Midwest to the regional conference, because it's in next year's is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in February.
Oh no!
Oh, so
yeah, that is a little
it'll be a fantastic conference, and maybe I will end up going because I really loved the keynote speaker that is kind of the head of our Midwest region. He's a fantastic guy, but anyways, so you kind of have to choose those national level conferences where you're going to have some amazing performances. You're going to have
the performances are great,
high level information. That
President's Own Band is always at Midwest, and they always do a headliner concert, which is fantastic.
Where you really can set your eyes on oh yeah, this is the prime of what my content area can be. And then regional is, I feel is a little bit more accessible version of that.
Absolutely.
Whereas then our state levels is where you can really build connections. You can build relationships with people.
You get to connect, with old friends, college friends. I know, for me, my our alma mater always does a reception, which is really nice, because I get to talk to professors and students and former students and former teachers that I've had that went to my school, and I get to make some really good connections.
It's fun to reconnect and say, hey, what are you up to? What are you really excited about what you're doing? Get some good ideas just through those conversations. So there's the choir conferences, there's the instrumental conferences, and then there's just the general, like in our world, like IMEA, like that's really
Indiana
for,
Music Educators
that's
Association.
for all music teachers.
Yes.
You know, whether you are orchestra, band, choir, general music,
Ukulele, handbell.
yeah, any of the music educators,
anything.
Whereas I know also, like on the choral director side of things, not everyone who goes is a school choral director. You know, we also have people who are church choir directors, community choir directors that are not part of the education system exactly at all.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, okay, so I have my master's in curriculum and instruction, which is not a music major as such, but you have a lot more experience going to conferences that are not music related. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got started with STEAM, like the STEAM conference a couple of years ago, through a local university, and I found that I really enjoyed doing that. I like the STEAM process. I think there's a lot of benefits that it can have for band kids, and band kids are just kind of going to be in that world a little bit more, just like the way that our brains work. And so through that, I got started working in our makerspace, which has like all kinds of crazy machines, 3D printers and laser engravers and t-shirt vinyl cutter press and full wood shop with a CNC router and all these technical things. And while it's not like, oh, we're making music with a CNC router, like I do projects that are related to band in a way, but also just I like getting kids out of the band room and in a different environment and using these machines. And I wish that I had something like that when I was in school, because I really enjoy it. And so I did the STEAM conference. I did like a STEM fellowship. They wanted me to get my computer licensure exam, like to be able to like essentially be licensed to teach computer science. And I did not want that, because I do not want to be stuck teaching computer science. And in a way that they would take away my music classes and make me teach computer science. And I think that was the right choice for me personally. This next one coming up that I'm going to be doing is about microelectronics. I'm kind of intrigued and excited about that, and just to see where it's going to take me. That also includes a component where I'm going to teach students about microelectronics. And that will be an interesting challenge to fit that into the band curriculum.
Well, I mean, like, that's a whole like family of musical instruments at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like electronic instruments and how.
Yeah, that was my thought process
works.
there. Yeah. And so I'm excited to kind of dive into that world. But yeah, I like expanding my teacher repertoire of just like what I can teach. So it's not just like, oh, it's okay, we only prepare for the concert and that's it. But being able to like, yeah, we talk about music history, we talk about music theory, but now we also talk about like electronic instruments and how do we build a theremin and what are career possibilities as a musician? Like, you really like music, you don't want to perform or teach. What else can we do with this? And so I think that's important too.
It is. And just knowing the larger world of education, I think is really valuable. I don't have a curriculum to use in any of my classes. I mean, all of our general music curriculum, like, we have created that. And so, and I was never really taught that in college, and so learning how to like take those standards and break them down into steps and create lessons that you can diversify, that you can make engaging for all of your students regardless of their level, that you can differentiate for all of your students. And those are all things that you can learn probably better at a general education conference than you can at a music. I've never been to a music education workshop that really talks about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
really addresses that.
I think our music conferences are really good about teaching music, but not as good about some of those things.
Yeah,
which is tricky.
We push so hard that like we're real teachers. Well, then
let's
be teachers.
Be real teachers.
Let's be educators. So what do we do? Like, so I was kind of laughing. So I went to this conference yesterday, And it was a great conference. It was a 3-day conference. I had already decided, because I have my kids at home and everything, I'm just going to pick one day. And because I was like, again, year 19, so I looked at the schedule. So we kind of talked, like, anytime that you're going to think about going to a conference, like, they almost always post the schedule as much as you can, as much as they can ahead of time, and take a look at it and be like, what does this really look like? Something that's interesting to me that I think would benefit me to go to. And so in this case, it was also cheaper for me to go to just one day.
Yeah.
So I looked at the schedule and I said, okay, it looks like Monday would be the day I should go. So I got up and I went, and I got to like lunchtime. So there were 3 sessions. The keynote speaker spoke, and then I went to a great session on helping beginner singers learn to sing harmony, specifically for like older ages. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. I need that. I went to a great one about like the choral director as a voice teacher, and lots of ways to work in those techniques. And between those 3 things, like, I got to lunchtime and I was like, I feel great. I feel like I have things I can take home, and I can like apply this in my classroom. And so I went home.
Yeah. And that's okay too. Like when to leave a conference or when to like go take a break.
Yeah.
It can be really mentally exhausting to go to all these sessions and to think through like, okay, how am I going to use this in my classroom? Because immediately your brain, because I don't go to a session and just like hear the information, absorb it, and then like take notes, and then 2 weeks later think through what I think like in that moment I'm kind of in my notes. I'm like, okay, and in my program, this is what I want to do and this is what I want to use it for. Or I'm like texting Laura like, oh, hey, I just heard about this thing. Like, I want to try to implement this. And what do you think? And I'm talking with people near me about like, oh, I like this and I want to do, because like your brain's working. Conferences can also be like a relaxing, fun time for you. Like I know we kind of joke at Midwest that it's like band director vacation, and we go to sessions and we learn important things, but also like we get to have fun receptions, and we get to reconnect with colleagues and classmates and former teachers and former professors and all these fun things, and go have nice meals and go see the city that you're in. And it's a nice balance of like, yeah, I got to like have a fun time while in this great location. And I also learned more about how to teach in a small band and how to manage my time in my classroom.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing, I guess, takeaways here. So like deciding like what conference you're going to go to.
Yes.
When you're there, like really look through the schedule, find the things that you feel like are going to be useful. One thing we were talking about is as you're looking through the schedule, kind of a pitfall I've fallen into is
the sponsored
watch out for sponsored sessions. Now, hear me, like those sponsors help conferences happen.
Yes.
And
sometimes they can be really helpful. Like we use products as teachers.
Right. And so a lot of times there'll be, this session you read through it and you're like, oh, like that sounds, I really need to know that. Like I need to know how to do that. And then it'll be like sponsored by, like this specific like music curriculum. And just know when you go in that you may get some really good information out of that. They may just be trying to sell you their product. I feel like I can't tell you not to go to those because, like I said, those companies pay for these conferences to happen. And part of that deal is that they get to do these sessions to help sell their products. So,
and again, like sometimes you go and you're like, oh, this product would actually be really helpful and useful. And sometimes you're like, oh, maybe this isn't exactly what I wanted.
But just watch out. Watch out for who the presenter is.
Yep.
And what.
Watch out for the funny titles too. Like sometimes those can be actually pretty good, and sometimes they're just not as good as you want or not as helpful for you specifically. But I remember like one particular title from a conference years ago stuck in my mind. It was something about beef stew. Oh. And I was like, no. Like,
what?
No. Something about teaching in beef stew. And
let's be honest.
And then it kind of became the joke of the conference, right?
You know, like, I mean, I don't know. We music people, we're a little bit weird though sometimes. Oh, yeah. So, like, who knows?
Sure.
Who knows what it is?
Well, like, again, like, sometimes those can be, like, some of the best conferences, and sometimes they're like, well, okay, like, maybe not the one I should have gone to, but that's okay.
Yeah. Okay, so you picked your sessions. How do you take notes? Are you a pen and paper? Are you an iPad? Are you a phone? Are you a laptop?
I'm a pen and paper girl at heart. But I will take my iPad with my pencil, my Apple Pencil, and handwrite a note. Cause like, I love pretty fun, fancy notebooks, but they also take up a lot of space. And then like trying to go through those notebooks and organize my notes and thoughts is tricky. But I do know, like, for me personally, writing things down, I'm going to remember it more. Like, I don't come home from these conferences and pour over my notes and use this information every single day. But I do know that, like, writing it down with pen and paper, even if it's, like, on my iPad with my Apple Pencil, I get a lot more out of it, and I remember it more when doing that. And then I can also write, like, oh, in my classroom, I'll do this, or, like... And so I think taking notes is important. Just like anything, like I'm going to remember it better if I take notes.
Yeah, I have the Notability app on my iPad, which is my favorite. It's a great way to, because I'll take pictures. You know, they always hand out like the...
Oh, yeah.
They always hand out the things, like the handouts, and then I'm going to lose them because they're going to get shoved in my backpack, and they're going to get put in a pile on my desk and then get thrown away. And so I can take a picture of that and like put it in my notes, and then I can make notes on the photo or highlight, and then I can kind of keep all my, like all the notes from that conference are in this little folder. So yeah, I'm an iPad girl. I maybe forgot my iPad and my laptop and a notebook yesterday. I don't know how this happened. Again,
it's summertime. It's June.
We'll just blame it on June. So I definitely was just like using my notes app on my phone and thinking, please don't be insulted and think that I'm texting.
Right.
While, but even then it was great because I could like take pictures of slides or those, like the notes app have gotten so much better. So be prepared. Have something to take notes with.
Have a list of good restaurants in the area. Like, treat yourself. Go, even if it's like a little cafe and you just get like a coffee and a bagel or whatever. But like, do something fun at the conference. Like, the conference doesn't just have to be work. Like, you can have like conferences are supposed to be fun. Yeah. Like, go visit the expo hall, get some free samples. Like,
challenge yourself to talk to someone new.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really try to do that. It's really easy to like find that one familiar face at the conference and be like, ooh, you're now my best friend for this entire conference, so I don't have to sit next to or talk to anyone new this whole time. Hi, I'm an introvert. But we started doing a few years ago, our conference does like different colored lanyards.
Oh yeah, it's
for like what your area is. Like if you're high school, they're yellow. If you're middle school, they're green and different things, which kind of help because then I can kind of be like, oh,
you also teach high school.
Oh, like
if you teach everything, it's a rainbow. No,
right? Yeah, that's always the hard thing. I'm always like,
can I have all of the lanyards?
But which lanyard do I pick? Because I'm elementary and middle and high and
choir
and community
and band and yeah.
I'm all the things. But find someone with the same color lanyard as you and like try to have a conversation with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You might learn something. You might make a friend.
Yeah.
And someone that you could reach out to, as we've talked about in previous episodes, when you need help.
Yeah. Yeah, so check your budget, check your time. So like for me, my conferences are usually like during the school year. So like, can you take the time off? Can you take the money to go travel and do this? Some schools are really nice and like pay for your conference. Our school does not. No. But that's okay.
We are not like we do get relatively unlimited professional development.
Yes,
days.
that's
like,
really nice.
If we want to take a day, they're like, great, go do it
on your own dime.
On your own dime. Now, like we can use our music department budget to pay for it.
Oh, we can.
I've been
told
do that before.
Yeah.
I don't either. I don't go to enough conferences.
Also, like
that it's.
Like my music department is benefited from me doing this conference, but also like it feels icky to use my.
Well, we have so little.
Yeah.
I just think of the things that I could do for my students.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I know people feel very strongly the other way. There are plenty of people who say no, like this is a business expense. I expect it to come out of not out of my own pocket.
And that's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But it is nice. I will say, when I pay for my own conference, I feel much more relaxed about not going to a million sessions and not doing only conference related things. Like, I feel much better about like doing some fun things along the way too. Whereas if the school were paying for it, I know we have friends that the school does pay for it, and they're like, okay, I got to go to 15 sessions a day. I gotta make it worthwhile because my school's paying for it. I got to show them that I'm this is real, and I'm not just here to like fluff off and do what I want.
I mean, we kind of touched on this earlier, but like even when I go to those multi-day conferences and I'm not leaving, there are plenty of times, and I would recommend that you do this. Like if your brain is feeling overwhelmed, take a minute and maybe skip a session if there's a block where there's not anything that you're super excited about. Take a minute and like just sit down in the lobby, go back to your hotel room, and just like process for a little bit. Let your brain, assimilate that information before you go and overload it with more, or you're not going to remember anything.
For sure. So go to conferences. They're important, but also don't like go broke doing all these conferences. Don't feel like you have to do a million sessions. Branch out a little bit. Try it, especially like all the STEM conferences I've gone to, they have given me money to go to them. Yeah. So that's kind of nice too, that like I get to go to a conference and get paid for it instead of losing money. And that's nice. But yeah, let us know.
What are some of your favorite conferences?
Absolutely. Let us know how we can help you if you're stuck between like you could only go to one conference and should you go to the state or the national or whatever. And yeah, I hope you keep listening. Like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, all those things. And we'll see you next time.
Happy summer.